It was Sunday, August 28th, when Tropical Storm Irene hit, a historic event causing 44 deaths and $7 billion in damages. News 10's Steve Caprizzo joins us now with the first part in a special series, Faces of Irene. Steve.
Elisa, thanks. We were right there with you every step of the way, giving critical information to help your family stay safe. And we've heard from so many of you thanking us for staying on with nonstop coverage on that unbelievable day. We wanted to go back to some of the hardest hit communities to see how they are rebuilding. Tonight, I begin a three-part series called Faces of Irene, and we went back to the village of Schoharie, where you'll meet dedicated people rebuilding their town.
What you're looking at is a pile of people's lives here in Schoharie. To my right, these are household appliances. I mean, it's a mountain, higher than the water ever was. We have refrigerators, we have washing machines, we have water pumps. This is a person's life. This is their home, and it's piled up.
There were about 275 properties that were inundated out of 350. So that's 80% of the village was inundated in 4 to 8 feet of water. Included in that is 100% of the business district, every single one.
One of the first businesses to open on Main Street was Little Italy Pizza and Pasta.
Eric, amazing what you've done here. Tell us a little bit what happened the day of the flood. I mean, you probably couldn't believe what was happening here in the village of Schoharie.
Day of the flood was chaos. The alarms weren't working in this village, and the fire department literally went door to door and with bullhorns down the street yelling for people to get out. That's been our big fear forever, that the dam was going to collapse. We assumed that was what was happening since the evacuation was going down the way it was. We assumed that we expected everything to be gone.
Schoharie Nurseries has never seen anything like this before.
8 feet of water where we're standing is just astronomical.
You look at the hardware store, totally empty, huh?
Empty, yes.
On Main Street, I bumped into Lizzie Hanauer.
I feel sorry for the people that lived here so long and have memories of their children going to school here or work and lived all their lives here.
This is what makes the spirit of Schoharie County so special. This sign on this closed up business right now. Home is where love is. Rebuild Schoharie County, 2011. And that's exactly what these folks are doing. They're rebuilding. And this town is going to be better than it was before the flood.
People couldn't wrap their minds around it. They couldn't believe that it happened. We've turned a corner. We're in a recovery situation, and we've all decided that we're flood survivors now, and the only way to go is up.
We've been here 123 years, and we can't really have one big flood interrupt that, and you have so many people that really want you to come back. It's a community effort, you can't just pull out, everybody can't just leave.
It's amazing to see the spirit of everyone in Schoharie. Most truly believe they will rebuild. They will survive this flood. And this small village nestled in the beautiful Schoharie Valley will shine once again in the very near future. Next Wednesday at 11, I will share you my visit to Wilmington, Vermont, a town which literally was cut off from the rest of southern Vermont. I'll be back with the complete forecast after this.
And ABC at 11.
And we are looking at the Faces of Irene.
Look behind us. I mean, this is amazing video from southern Vermont. I mean, it was just, Elisa, it was one of those storms that beyond all storms. We know that with Irene. Last week we visited Schoharie, so badly hit by Tropical Storm Irene. Tonight I share with you the time I spent in Wilmington, Vermont, a beautiful little town nestled in the Green Mountains of southern Vermont. This area was ground zero for some of the worst flooding in the state. In fact, many residents were literally cut off from the rest of Vermont. Over a foot of rain fell, and the force of the Phew River raged through the center of town.
They're telling me that I need to leave the street. So I just wanted to keep you updated.
I'm on East Main Street. This used to be the town hall, completely gutted because of the flooding from Irene. This right here was the town of Wilmington Police Department. And as you can see, completely devastated by the high water. Let me show you just how high the water got on August 28th when the Deerfield River flooded. This was the 1938 flood, which was bad. The 2011 flood from Irene, the highest ever.
I drive by that 1938 sign on the police on the town hall every day.
And never thought.
Notice it and never think it's ever going to be like that again.
The water was this high.
The water came up through the basement.
Yeah.
And came up this high?
Yes, it did.
One of the most beautiful places on Main Street is the Crafts Inn. It dates back to 1898 and sustained over $600,000 in damage.
The water line came to
You
where...
can see it right
Yep.
here. So you're talking probably almost 7 feet then.
The water came through that door and it just started gushing down. You got a second chance to do things over and maybe correct the things that you didn't do quite the way.
Or you thought you were going to do and
Exactly.
you put it off.
So it's going to be okay.
It's hard to imagine when you look at the Deerfield River today how low it is. The day of the big flood, it rose so high, it basically flooded out the first floor of these businesses and homes to my left. Literally, the river was flowing through these windows.
The Country Store, the oldest building in Wilmington, dates back to 1760, was devastated by the flood.
We moved merchandise to the second floor as fast as we could to save our merchandise. This room, the flooding went just to almost to the ceiling.
So you're talking over 7 feet of water where we're standing right here.
Yes, absolutely.
We were sitting high. I'm 74, and we've now spent absolutely everything. It'll be a $250,000 disaster paid in bills by the time we're done.
The street was lined in cars. The parking lot was lined in cars.
Nobody had gotten out at that point.
People walk around on a Sunday morning
thinking it was a heavy rainstorm.
Thinking it was a heavy rainstorm, nonchalant, not worried. I knew by the rate the water was rising that this was going to be the worst flood in history.
You look at India and you look at hundreds of thousands of people. You look at the earthquake in Japan and the tsunami and you say to yourself, oh, I think I can get through this okay. And just finally you do.
I just want to say I enjoyed meeting so many inspirational people in Wilmington. They will survive Irene, they will rebuild, and like so many residents said to me, they will even be better than before. Next week in part 3 of Faces of Irene, we head to the Mohawk Valley and visit the village of Rotterdam Junction, where the Mohawk River literally engulfed everything in up to 10 feet of water. Let me tell you, the folks out there in Vermont, absolutely amazing. I mean, they endured this that you see behind us, and they walk around with a smile, and you know what? They see the end in sight. They know it's a lot of work, they know it's hard, but they're tough people up there, and they're going to be okay.
What a wonderful attitude. I see what's happening in India, and I see the tsunamis, and I say, I can live through this.
They put things into perspective.
Yeah.
It really does. We'll be back with our forecast. We'll tell you about a close call tomorrow, right after this.
All of a sudden the water just came down Main Street slowly, and there's people running, there's cops ripping people out of their houses, get out of here. I've seen it right from the beginning.
Now the lock beside me, what happened is the water backed up behind it. It's flowing at a couple of the gates here, but there's still some blockage. And this backed up the water for miles on the Mohawk River. Now the water in the Mohawk River was all the way up here. Now this is a 16-foot increase in height. Tony Civitello. Tony, come on in here.
Yep.
It's a pleasure. You watched the river as it came up, and it was a frightening sight for you.
It was, yeah. I started measuring at 5:32 Wednesday evening. It was coming up 1 foot an hour.
My son actually jumped on the neighbors. He climbed up on their back deck, swam, and then climbed, and then jumped on their garage, jumped into the water here, and then got back up through the roof, or through the window up here, got my mom and dad out on the roof.
It's hard to imagine the destruction on this one street in Rotterdam Junction. All these homes completely destroyed. And to think about how deep the Mohawk River was here, it's just hard to imagine. But this tree tells the story of that infamous flood. If you look up here, you can actually see the mud line. The Mohawk River at this point was at least 10 feet deep.
Because people were refusing to leave, they didn't want to leave, and then all of a sudden the water came up so fast that they were trapped in their houses on their top balconies.
This was a doorway, right?
Yes.
To another level?
There was a flat roof right up above where the black moisture barrier paper is, and that's where Mom and Dad sat, and the canoe came almost flush up to the top of that roof.
People's lives are now ruined. Everything that they own, their family heirlooms passed down from generations, sitting on the curb for the town to pick up and throw out.
They didn't have much, but what they had, they lost. Tough.
I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Hang in there.
You know, well, like I say, you know, we didn't get hurt that bad, but then people did. And our hearts go out to them.
It was difficult doing these stories over the past 3 weeks. It was so hard to visit people that had lost so much, some never able to rebuild. At the same time, it was uplifting. Just about every single person told me the community was tremendous. People from all over, many of them strangers, helped clean up, donate food and donate services and money with no strings attached. This is what makes living in this part of the country the best. The people.
Absolutely.
And, you know, we've said that so many times over the years, but the people that were affected by the flood were an inspiration to me, and they're going to do fine. They're going to come back. Some of them lost everything, but they're tough. They are tough people, and they have the right spirit.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks so much,
Okay.
Steve. Thanks for showing us all these wonderful people. We'll be right back.